Jungkook changed in his office suit as he now stood before the mirror, getting ready. The flashbacks of morning played in his head when he woke up next to Wyan, clinging onto his arm. All cuddled up against it, holding it like her favorite plush toy. She was sleeping so peacefully, it provided peace to his heart. As his fingers outstretched to remove the hair off her face, he watched her sleeping in peace. A part of him wished for it to be a daily sight, just as he wake up every morning. He snapped out of his thoughts when he heard Wyan's cry for help. He rushed towards Mary's room, and the cry only turned loud. Mr. John. He entered the room and found Wyan holding Miri in her arms, and the baby was having trouble breathing. He cursed and rushed to their side, taking Miri in his arms. Jungkook, close the lights and the curtains. Wyan rushed to do so. The result was the room turning pitch black. She was unable to see the two anymore. Jungkook rocked Miri to and fro as he started to sing. His voice was so heavenly, completely opposite to his stern and dark personality. His fingers stroked through her hair gently, and he continued to sing. Mary's breath started to calm down as she fell into serenity, and soon enough slept in his father's arms. Vine's vision adjusted to the darkness as she watched Jungkook putting Miri in her bed, staying beside her. Vine, I'm really sorry. I didn't know how it happened. I never meant it. Jungkook, it's not your fault. While I'm still trying to figure out what triggers her, but she has PTSD, and it doesn't make sense to me because she is only 2 years old. Vine, how does she even remember what happened? Jungkook, she doesn't. According to doctors, she might not remember what happened, but she still might be able to feel it. And it's worse when you feel the shitty emotions but unable to grasp what actually happened. It hurt Moyan. Mary never deserved such cruelty. She was a bright kid who deserved all of the happiness in this world. It made her want to hug her and hide her from this world. Jungkook. I'm going to raise her into a strong woman who can fight her past demons and live in the present. He stood up, turning on the side lamp. Wyan, I know you will. After the breakfast, the two parted their ways. Wyan received the money and thanked him without any knowledge that Jungkook never tried to recover the check she lost. It was his money she had. After that time, the two never realized when they started to meet almost every weekend. Wyan got too close with Miri, which automatically pulled her closer to Jungkook. The two would sometimes meet in Wyan or Jungkook's home, or other times they would go out for dinner. Like the time tonight, Wyan suggested bringing Miri to an arcade. Miri had started to form more words and walk on her 2 feet without much support. It had been 6 months when first met her. Wine. No, no, that's mine, you thief. Apparently, Wine got herself and Miri matching headbands, but with color difference. The little one was trying to keep both of them. Miri, no, mine. She laughed and pulled on it. The two were loud while sitting in the car as Jungkook sat on the other seat, rubbing his nose bridge. Jungkook, I didn't sign up for this. He thought and shook his head. He admired both of them in their happy bubble, and as long as he was there, he would make sure they stayed the happiest. Miri, Dada. Jungkook, yes, my princess. She got off Wyan, standing on the car seat beside Jungkook, and took off her hairband and started trying to make Jungkook wear it. He moved back as if he saw a bomb coming his way. Jungkook, hey, go play with her. Oh god, Miri, no. Wine only laughed more as she made a video. Jungkook struggled like his life depended on it. Jungkook, stop laughing and handle her. Miri, where do you want to make your dad look like a cartoon? Wine, excuse me, are you saying we look like cartoons? He grabbed Miri and put her in Wine's lap, making her hold the baby. Jungkook, yes. She gasped and hit his arm. Yeah, they got close enough to do that. Jungkook sometimes questioned himself for the situations he ended up in because of these two ladies, but still, never once did anything to stop them. Sometimes he ended up bickering with her like a couple would, and that seemed clearly ridiculous because what the hell was wrong with him? Jungkook, like what is this? Do you think there's some Halloween going on? He teased her as he poked the little drawing she made on Miri and her own cheek. Of course, in her defense, that was only because Miri insisted. Wine, your daughter has the same drawing. She snorted, getting teased. Jungkook, well, she looks cute. What were you thinking before doing that? If it was an animated movie, you could see smoke coming out of her ears. Wine, you wait and watch. Miri, let's make a drawing on daddy's face. Yay! Miri exclaimed as she started to crawl towards Jungkook again. God knows how hard it was for him to control his curses in front of a kid. He almost blew out. It was a relief they reached the destination, and Miri got distracted by all the lights. Wine smiled proudly. It was a revenge. Even if it was not executed, she was still happy about it. Both of them rushed inside while Jungkook followed them quietly, staying behind, keeping his eyes on them as the two enjoyed without a worry in their life. Once the night ended, Miri was sleeping, being tired as hell. The plush toys she won ended up in the front seat and the trunk. That was a lot for a kid in a night. Jungkook, did you have fun? Wine nodded. She was tired herself as she leaned back against the car seat with her eyes closed. Wine, a lot. You have an extra active child. Where did you even eat when you made her? Jungkook stayed quiet as he admired her in silence. He took Miri from her in his lap, letting Wine rest. As the journey continued, he gestured at the driver to slow down the car before closing the shutter between the front and back seat. He wanted to stay in this moment for a little more, where he could admire her as much as he wanted, without any fear. Wine rested her head on his shoulder. It was a slow and hesitant movement. When Jungkook didn't push her away, she slid her hand around his arm, holding it, never once opening her eyes. Jungkook stayed quiet, looking down at her. Was not it what he waited for all these months? A positive sign from her. It might not be a huge move, but it was still something. He held her hand and didn't fail to notice the blush adoring her cheeks. Ryan, can we go straight to your home? Then you can tell me it's late, and going back at this hour is not safe. And that you don't have guest room set up. So yours is the only room I have to share. Of course, he whispered, his other arm around Miri, holding her tiny frame. Vine never opened her eyes or looked at him, probably shy enough to say it on his face. Once the two reached Jungkook's home, he put Miri in her bed and Jess was already sleeping on the other side of the bed. He closed the door and came out as he saw Wine standing before his room. He halted in his steps and took a deep breath. Miss Wine. She turned to look at him. Jungkook, before you ask, I don't admire guests staying in my home. and for the sole reason I have no guest room set up, he said as he took steps closer to her, one by one. Jungkook, the only beds you will find here are in servant quarters, and I wouldn't want my guests to stay there. So you have to stay with me, in my room. He stopped right in front of her, his tall figure towering hers, and she felt like her heartbeat was going to explode. Jungkook, will you mind? Wine. No, she whispered. She noticed the shift of his eyes and instantly turned around, getting in the room. A few deep breaths might help, but absolutely nothing helped her calm down her erratic heartbeat. She went to one side of bed where she stayed her last time and removed her shoes and makeup, getting under the sheets, whereas Jungkook changed into his comfy nightwear till then. This time, when he came back and slid under the sheets, he didn't use his cell phone. Instead, he lay down on his side facing her, and so she did the same, her fingers fiddling with the edges of comforter, nervously unable to make an eye contact. Jungkook held her hand, putting an end to his misery. The simple move blessed him with an eye contact, the rosy cheeks and soft touch. Her hair he wished to run his fingers through, and those lush lips he wished to kiss. Jungkook, I have been meaning to tell you one thing. Wyan, what is it? Jungkook, nothing. I feel towards you is because of Mary. It's because of you, and never because I need a parent for her. Wyan, what do you feel about me? Her voice was no louder than whispers, but it was enough to do crazy things to Jungkook. Jungkook, everything a man should feel towards his woman. He intertwined their fingers, and Wyan closed her eyes for a moment. It was not only her who had feelings for him. Jungkook, I want you to be free of any pressure. When I confess my feelings, Wyan, Jungkook, there are things which have always hesitated me. Jungkook, things like I'm a mafia or that I killed my own wife. She nodded and he rubbed circles with his thumb on her knuckles. Miri was not the only one who she tried to kill. When I said she was spoiled, I meant it. She has attacked many servants before for little mistakes. She has pushed Jess down the stairs only for spilling water on her dress. But Miri, that was her own daughter. I could have divorced her, yes, but she had went through a lot of my stuff. She would have walked out of here and sold the information to my rivals. That would have risked Miri and my life. Jungkook, I wouldn't allow anyone to hurt Miri, and if anything happened to me, she would have to live without both of her parents and protection. Jungkook, I have worked my whole life for where I stand. I'm in a place where they would fear ever thinking going against me. But I'm a realistic person. All those years in work have only taught me that one single mistake can ruin you forever. Wyan, will I have to fear you returning home to me every night? You are involved in such a dangerous field. She gulped, fearing the answer. She hated this feeling. Jungkook, if something happens to me, it will endanger you both. And I have plans of providing you and Mary protection, and that involves my safety. I will make sure you won't have to worry about such thing. Wyan, I will never forgive you otherwise. Jungkook left her hand and tucked her hair behind her ear. He kissed her knuckles, staying beside her. She took the affection. It was enough to tell her she didn't have to worry about the thing, and that he was never going anywhere. Next part will be full of their moments together. Thank you for watching.